Now, as the last panel before the pitching competition starts, and we're going to find out who will receive the 1 million euros, we are actually going to discuss how to scale globally, which is a nice continuation of the previous panel. Scaling beyond familiar home markets has considerable challenges, so this panel will explore both the opportunities and challenges of alternative markets and where to find the right ones for your business. The chat is moderated by Adam Rang, who is an entrepreneur and writer. And Adam is originally from the UK, who now permanently lives in Estonia. So it's really good to have you here. Please, a big applause for Adam.
So, we have an excellent panel with a huge amount of experience in cross-border business, which is actually something I struggle with a lot. So you're not going to hear too much about me droning on because I'm as excited as everyone else to learn from our panel. I've got lots of questions, but please do ask questions in the app as well, and I'll try to get to as many as possible. But let's introduce our panel. So first up, we have Caro Rossi, Managing Director of CPR Investment and Consulting, which has decades of experience in early-stage venture capital. And Caro is also a journalist, so lots of good advice about communications. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, we have Pamela Shear, partner at Simpson Ventures, who was previously a partner, founder of Alibaba and Alipay in Europe.
Yeah.
Welcome. And from closer to home, Annalie Alias, CEO of Aurora, which offers automation for global trade and compliance processes, previously VP of Finance at Bolt, and also the founder of Mark IT. Welcome. And actually, Annalie, Mark IT was founded long before Latitude, long before there was an Estonian mafia, before there was a Skype. Quite an experience you have there in founding companies.
Yes, this company was really established so long time ago that there was even not a word called founder in the dictionary. But the company has been growing nicely, and it's in more than 45 countries nowadays. So I think it's a nice story how to expand the company.
And so when we first talked about doing this panel, it was first focused on alternative markets. And we had a discussion and kind of, we've all got different ideas of alternative markets. One person's alternative market is another person's traditional market. And so I want to ask, like, where do you see the most exciting opportunities for growth at the moment around the world? A question to all of you who wants to jump in, maybe Caro.
Okay. Well, I'm representing Latin America here, so of course I will be biased in terms of the opportunities I see. And I'm also kind of representing the startup world because I'm an entrepreneur myself, and I have worked with over 1,000 founders basically before a Series A, so I am very focused in early stage. In terms of Latin America, we were discussing at the beginning of the session, like of the record, how in my perception is kind of like an invisible region. It's a region that we do not know that much, that is kind of far away, and which is remarkable, strange for me. And I'm gonna quote a politician, a Spanish politician, Minister of Foreign Affairs, who actually last year says Latin America is the most compatible region for Europe, and I cannot agree more, because many of us are also, as Latinos, we're also Europeans, which is my case, and the case of millions. In the case of Latin America, because I want to give the voice, I think fintech is extremely strong, and I can put evidence into that in general as a market. I think blockchain, especially Web3, is becoming extremely strong because of context, which happen to be inflation, and because of technology, which you have countries like Chile, which is almost 100% digitalized, especially payment. And in terms of other more interacting factor, I would say anything that relates to ventures with a real social impact is also like a trend, but that goes more related to how Latinos think and evolve.
Yeah, so you touched about fintech. So actually by 2030, Asia will be the largest market for fintech. So I guess the question will depend on which sector you are in. If you are in fintech, definitely explore Latin America and Asia. And in Africa, because of the instability of fiat currencies, actually I see a lot of opportunities in Web3 or blockchain. So I'm also mentoring for Techstars London. I see some interesting companies. So for example, one, they are providing currency accounts and also saving accounts for SMEs. If you are getting revenue from payment, it enables you to convert the fiat currencies to USDC, and then you can also earn interest rate from staking. The other company also they are actually enabling African SMEs to access global capitals by invoice financing. So there are a lot of opportunities in Africa as well, if you are in Web3. And in Middle East, actually the central governments, they are really doubling down on energy transition. During this market downturn, actually their sentiment is rather good. So, mainly driven by the healthy oil price. So, if you are in EV, if you are in climate tech, I think Middle East is somewhere you should explore.
And as I am in e-commerce world, we are definitely looking for the biggest countries where the e-commerce is could potentially big. China is definitely a big market for us, UK, Germany. But I think that when companies are still small, it doesn't matter which is like the global market in the world, but all new countries are big market and growth opportunities to all of us. So I think it's good to see the big picture and start from these countries which make the best match to your product or service.
And Annalie, how important is it to treat one country as one market? When, I mean, a lot of your customers are spread across many different countries. You're kind of targeting people by demographics. How important is it still to focus on national markets?
I think that the customers are, of course, most important, but it's when you look from the market where you can potentially find these customers which benefit the most from your product. So customer goes first, and then we, of course, see how we can grow in the different markets.
Mm. And maybe, Caro, just from a Latin American perspective, like, I mean, one thing probably we find very difficult is obviously Latin America is South America is such a huge place, so diverse, it's difficult to know where to start.
I understand your question. I mean, the difficult question is because it's difficult to read it. I think it's just like a kind of fragmented. It's a fragmented region because it's not a continent. We will talk Americas as a continent. We're talking about 650 million people, which 200 of them speak Portuguese, and most of the others speak Spanish. So then we start with a language barrier, and then we're talking about a country that, I mean, countries which are so diverse such as I was putting an example. I think I'm confusing what I said here and what I said backstage, but if I repeat it, it's fine. I can go from north to south of Chile without cash, and it's fine. I cannot, and I'm Italian, so I can also say this, I cannot go from north to south of Italy without cash, because you never know that there is a place maybe that doesn't have the digital infrastructure, or you cannot pay. I cannot go from north to south of Peru without cash. Okay, I'm putting this example, which is a day-by-day example to show the difference and the diversity of a region. It's a region that is diverse in all levels, politically, economically, and of course, startup-wise. But I think it's a region that have today shown the world cases as Rappi, which is a delivery service, Colombian one, unicorn, huge, corner shop, Chilean case, bought by Uber for 3 billion. Facebook bought WhatsApp for 1 billion, just to put an example, and it's a Chilean company. And I can just name a bunch. So for my recommendation as a Latin and European, because I'm both, is to actually understand that it's a fragmented market, yes. It's a market that is diverse in no sense, so you really need to understand. And finally, I take the words that you really need to understand if it is valuable for you. I mean, what are you doing? Is it a place to go? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's, I don't know, Asia or someplace else.
So maybe the follow-up question is, like, how do you validate entering a new market? How much research should you be doing? And, some people here, not everyone's in big companies. There might be, solo entrepreneurs who can't do lots of research before going to a market. How much is trial and error? How do you know when to enter a new market? Pamela.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so I guess you don't, depends on the stage, right? So if you are early stage, I don't think you need to have a physical team in the country you are exploring. So for example, when Alibaba launched AliExpress, it's an e-commerce platform. So actually, it's easier in that sense. When the market is open to worldwide, you quickly spot, where are you picking up the traffic? And actually, at that time, we see the traffic is mainly from like Russia or from Brazil and also from Spain in Europe. It's because people are more sensitive in pricing and they are not they don't mind to wait for the product to be delivered. So I guess be open-minded in the beginning, and then once you spot the opportunities, you can set up a bit of local presence by, for example, hiring a contractor there, actually travel there a lot to talk to the other partners, the people in the ecosystem, your clients, to really identify if that's the right market for you to go to.
And Annalie?
Yeah, I think I have quite a lot of experience on going global, and it could be also done in very different ways. Before you actually have the legal presence there, this is already a very expensive decision, and to withdraw it, it could be also even more expensive. But first, please start with really defining what are the success criteria of your product or service. In MarkIT, we looked at microeconomics, what could possibly define the success of our business. And during that time, the internet coverage was not so common as it's nowadays. So that was one of the criteria. Are people used to buy goods through internet? When we did this analysis in Bolt, there was totally different criteria. And now when we are in Aurora, we are looking regulatory point of view. So it is very important that you deep dive the success criteria, and based on that, you make your choice, because country which could be very good to some other company or some other service could be totally a failure for you.
So you can hire new employees, new contractors in a new market who understand the market better. You've got your existing employees who understand your business better. How do you find the right balance between local employees and existing employees and integrate them? It may be open to all of you.
I'll pick this up. So I think for me, it's really important to actually first to have a diverse team. You really need people from both sides. To create the right product for the market, you need to have the living experiences. So having a diverse team just means that you have more success, right? Actually, somebody gave me the example yesterday. So one of the largest car selling platforms in Latin America is actually set up by one brother and one sister. So they are siblings. So the brother thinks that, it's like quite hard to find to sell your car because it's hard for you to find a buyer and the pricing is not transparent. But for the sister, like she's saying, it's so dangerous to sell your car online, right? You can be scammed and it can be fraud. So from a women's perspective, it's just completely different. So I think having a diverse team by gender, by ethnicity, I think it's really key. The second perspective for me is really to have this company mission, vision, and a value. So when I say mission, it's not like KPIs or internal targets, but really to understand how you can create a better world and what kind of long-lasting impact you are going to make to the greater society. So, for example, Alibaba's mission is to make it easy to do business anywhere. And once your domestic team and also your overseas team, they really understand your mission and the vision, I think they can come up with different solutions to address that issue, and all the strategies can be aligned.
I definitely agree with you. There has to be a combination of central people or the people who already know the company and products, but also local people. It is also depending very much on the country, because there are still countries who understand that we are in a global, the world is open and everybody can do business wherever they want, but they still prefer to buy from the local person. So this is also part of the investigation, like how to figure out how the sales decisions are made. However, when this local presence is done, the central people or the people from the HQ definitely have to visit the country, the different offices, because they are the ones who are building the culture of these subsidiaries. And then also people who are in the distance, they also get more understanding. They are part of the bigger group and they get the bigger picture. So it has to be a combination.
Yeah. I had the experience of going to the American market, targeting the Latinos of the American market, which is another thing that targeting Latin America. So then I was a co-founder of like a media platform, which is what called Innova Rock. We had a podcast line with 35,000 constant users. We impacted over 250 Latinos in total. And basically our business model was more in conference and events, right, mostly. And then we decided, okay, why don't we go to the Latino market in the US? So we did our first event in Miami. And then we realized that the strategy to spend in the US, we needed to onboard people which were like, I will use that word like Latinx, basically Latino from the US, which today, for you, if anyone doesn't know, is 60 million of Americans are Latinos. But then we're culturally different as well, so it was also a cultural challenge for us. Plus, because we are already very culturally different. If you talk about like the south cone of South America, which is where I'm from, which is mostly Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile, we are I don't know, we're not that good in socializing compared to someone from Colombia, which is much better than mine and than me, for example. Maybe if you talk to a Mexican about a Chilean, it would be like, yeah, maybe they're not that nice, you know, like all this stereotype, which partly some of them are right, and for that, even though you are making your business grow in a group, in a demographic that you believe that is similar, it is such a diverse, we're so diverse that you need to have someone, I think, to make it solid, which is kind of like from that group. And I'm going to say this because I also agree that at the end, the culture in any company, it needs to be kind of a mix. And if we keep it in just like little squares, like in a box, you know, and they don't connect, it will break at one moment. So it is building a culture in companies a huge challenge. And I think it's the challenge to understand how do we put these like boxes together and make them talk constantly.
But Anam, can I add? I think it's also keep in mind that especially when you go to remote locations and you do not, maybe you haven't had possibility to meet the person face to face, and it takes time to build the trust. Some lessons what I have learned is that please keep the treasury, the legal advice in your central office, that these people who are supporting you locally with accounting, with the bank account also in the central function and also legal, that these contracting parties will be loyal to you, because we never know what happens in these like the remote locations, and things can go good and things can go bad as well. If these most important parts are not part of your loyalty zone, then you might be in a bigger trouble.
Mm. We briefly talked about Latin America, and what do we need to know better about entering the Asian market, particularly for people here, mostly from a European perspective?
Mm-hmm. Again, I think it comes back to what kind of product and what's your value proposition. So if you are, for example, in fashion, in luxury, or in property tech, or even wealth management, I think you really need to put China on your radar, because the economy is really boosted by the rise of middle class, and also shopping there is more like a habit for them and a showcase of social status. If you are in fintech, so by 2030, Asia will be the largest market for fintech. So that's somewhere you really need to think about. But the problem there actually is to solve the fundamental issue, because they don't even have the infrastructure, right? So here, for example, we are trying to make payment faster, cheaper. There, they are just making it possible at all. So the problem they are solving is quite different. But if actually, for example, in Philippines, many people, they don't even have bank accounts, or they don't have even ID. So credit solution is very, very much needed there in a creative way. So if you know how to resolve that, I think you can add so much value to Southeast Asia. And And if you are in IoT, in smart engineering, or in EV, actually, or semiconductor, I know Taiwan, they just launched a fund. So it's by a VC called Taiwania. They have a fund of $200 million US investing in Baltics and the CE region. And the prerequisite is you need to have some presence there, either a partner or a client or your customers. So it's also worth to talk to them because they believe that by combining the hardware expertise there and also the software excellence there, I think we can create a lot of synergies.
We talk a lot about manufacturing in Asia as European companies. Are we too slow to understand the consumer market in Asia as well?
I think consumer market for a startup can be challenging. I wouldn't lie, right? Because in Asia, like it's so fragmented. Actually, just like in Latin America, it's like bipolar. So you have the super rich, but you also have people who don't have bank account and only live in cash, right? So I think consumer market can be really challenging, and it's more for like a B2B. I think you can get some success.
And Annalie, Aurora specializes in trade rules and compliance for entrepreneurs. What are the biggest struggles that you see your customers have when doing cross-border business?
In cross-border business, I think there are two difficult things. One is changing regulations. The world has really understood that very clearly that the tax compliance have not been in the order as it should have been. And now countries becoming more and more strict, and there are also, we see a lot of penalties in case the taxes in cross-border business have been declared incorrectly. And the other thing is about data. The world is growing so fast, and the products what are moving around the world, the variety is so big that whenever you do the tax declaration or duty declaration, whether goods across the border, you cannot handle it manually. So it has to be somehow technologically solved the issue. And this is something what our customers value the most. We have the technology what can support them and to make them grow faster. Also, looking from going green point of view, when all these processes can be done faster with the help of technology, which means also that the logistic flow can be handled faster, the customs warehouses will not be needed soon anymore. So which means like we make the world also a bit greener place.
And Caro, where do you see the biggest challenges? And is it also in language, culture?
No, I think the challenge is, again, I will repeat this, is to make it visible, because there's like, we were talking about why, and there could be many reasons why Latin America has not been a visible region. But the chance to make it visible, I'm going to go into like, let's talk about climate tech or climate change. So climate change, climate tech, there's no way that the climate crisis is solved without the presence and active presence of Latin America. There's no way. I was telling, just like it's with Chile, which Chile has lithium. I think it's like 70% of the production. Maybe I'm getting wrong the data, but it's huge in lithium today. We have the best scenario for green hydrogen. In the north, we have the Atacama Desert, which is the most dry desert in the whole world. So we have the most sand and light. And in the south, we have the strongest wind in Patagonia. So we're really huge in that. And that's something that Europe strategically really wants to work on. So I think that the challenge is actually how to work together with a region, which in my personal opinion, and the opinion of the foreign minister of Spain, it is 100% compatible with Europe, because of course, it's a region born partly as a mix with us Europeans. We're Latinos, we're all mixed, we're just a mix of Europeans. So I think that my biggest message is saying like, yes, the opportunity is huge. Money-wise, it is big. Things work. It is very fragmented, but there are places which is not that fragmented. That's one. Second, business-wise, is in terms of what the world needs today is there, and today we need deep tech. So the best case scenario would be, how do we apply big tech to like climate change, and where do we get things from? And well, Latin America, I think, is a big player in this, you know. And finally, it's just go and check it out. That's it. Like, check it out, go, talk to people from the region, learn about it. I do think there are a lot of possibilities.
Where do you recommend starting? Like, where's the best hub?
Well, I can talk to anyone here. No, but I think that it really depends the product, really. I know that's not a good answer, but it is the answer. It really depends the business that you are in, because it will be diverse.
And Pamela, where do you see the main obstacles?
Yeah, so I think for me there are three pillars. So the first one is actually value proposition. So even you have a product, but the value proposition can be different market by market, right? So when Alipay set out our strategy in Europe, we quickly realized, so actually just information, Alipay is a super app beyond just payment. So people are actually using it more than 7 times a day in China to order a taxi, to book delivery, to book hotel, cinema ticket, even to book appointment with hospital. So it's so integrated, it's a super app. But when we entered Europe in 2014, we actually don't need it. There is no payment issue. We have apps for different purposes, right? So here we actually identified ourselves as a merchant market. And to address merchants, payment, again, is not the right one. So we quickly kind of repositioned ourselves to make us as a marketing platform. And we had to work with teams in China, the product team, to actually create that digital marketing product. So the merchants, once they have accepted Alipay, they could use this digital marketing platform to drive customers and also footfalls to their stores. So I think value proposition is very important for you to think about, and it can be quite challenging when you enter a new market. The second one is actually trust. I think you also touched on trust. I think it's a very big topic because so for Alibaba, when we entered the market, right? Actually, first one, the biggest issue was actually trust, because first, the name sounds very exotic. So I still remember when I called the taxi, the driver kept thinking I'm calling from a restaurant. Like, just wait for me outside of the restaurant, Alibaba restaurant. So I had to explain, no, we are an office. So just I think by leveraging your loyal customers, and how do you work with them to create that domino effect, to create more trust in the market. I think that can be challenging, but also something you have to address. The third one is people. So I think we touched on this a lot, right? To have a diverse team, to have people, more people understanding the issues from different perspectives and who are creative enough to come up with a solution. I think that's important.
And Annalie, kind of across Mark IT, Bolt, Aurora, like what's been your most challenging market?
I think that the answer can be very different as well. The locations which are more far away, there might be cultural differences. But when you want to establish a subsidiary, I think the most difficult country is actually Belgium. There are so many different regulations. You have to do the audited budget before you can open the subsidiary. Like, how can I audit something what I'm still thinking about? Or you have to have the university degree to be a director in Belgium. So why do I need to? This has been the only time when I had to show my university diploma. When I have been a part of the establishing companies in more than 50 countries. So it is a challenging country for me, and especially to open a bank account is a headache.
I know we have quite a few Belgian e-residents of Estonia for that reason. But yeah, we're just going to wrap things up. Your final advice for entrepreneurs here today preparing to enter a new market?
Okay, I would say that in the case of Latin America, I would say be brave. Because things work. It's not like there is a tendency to think that they don't work. I do think that there are many countries in the region where things actually work. And be open to different kind of industry. And I close with Starlink. The trial of Starlink before Ukraine was actually done in Chile. I know many friends of mine to use it. So be brave, do it, be bold,
Thank
go.
you. And Pamela?
Just to add on that, be open-minded and try to solve a bigger problem to create a better world.
And from me, maybe start with from the market what you know already, which is maybe closer to you, and think big. World is open.
Thank you. Please do give the panel a huge round of applause. Thank you.
Big thank you one more time. One more time, big round of applause for these guys.